All right, we welcome Coach Riley to the stage here. He'll give an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Just as another reminder, the microphone is there in the back. If you have a question, just walk up to the microphone, state your name and affiliation, and then please speak up so Coach can hear your question. Okay, Coach, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's great to be here at my first Pac-12 Media Days, I guess my first of two. This is it's been a great day. It really has, and appreciate everybody coming out. Yeah, been a very interesting last 7 or 8 months. Been a lot of fun. I've really appreciated the support that we've had from so many as we've kind of gotten started here on this journey at USC. It's from building a staff and building a roster in a very unique way. To a tremendous spring, a great offseason, and now time to put some of the talk and all the hype and all the other things going on behind us and go play ball is a great feeling and something we're very much looking forward to. I obviously been asked once or twice today about the conference realignment. Obviously, we're aware of it, and it's certainly an impact, mostly in recruiting right now. But certainly would like to keep the focus as much as we possibly can on the Pac-12 conference, our team this year, all the great players, and potentially great teams in this conference. I think there's a ton of excitement, and rightfully so, and very much looking forward to being a part of this. There's a lot of schools in this league that I very much respect, a lot of coaches that I very much respect, and looking forward to competing against. So with that, we will take some questions.
Hey, Coach. Will, LA Football Network. Caleb comes to USC with, the lineage of the Oklahoma quarterbacks that you were able to develop there, the Baker Mayfields, the Kyler Murrays. What kind of, offensive skill set have you seen from him that's similar to those two guys, and how is he different from some of those guys as well?
Yeah, Caleb's got a great skill set. He does. That was pretty apparent the first time that I saw him. You get a lot of guys that are really athletic quarterbacks, but maybe, leave something to be desired with accuracy or arm talent or vice versa. Caleb's one of the rare young guys that has elite ability with both. And then I think for those of you that maybe got a chance to be around him a little bit, he's got a, very magnetic personality. He's a guy that can get in any scenario, any room, and feel comfortable, get along with people, be very present, and has a great way with people. And so I think you got the makings of a potentially great leader and a really great player. And I think it's important for everybody to remember he's still young in his career. I mean, Caleb's played half of a college football season, and he played it, in a major university under a lot of scrutiny, and played in some big games and some big moments. And that's going to certainly help him. And there's no question that he's ready for this moment and ready for this challenge. But there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think he's very aware of that, and I think you asked for a comparison with those other guys. They were all talented too. I think one of the reasons they kept improving was they stayed hungry, and they realized the areas that they had to get better and the work that it was going to take to actually make that improvement. And so it's something we've been able to talk a lot about, and he's responded well, and I think he's a much better player right now than at any point last season, as we would expect him to be.
Awesome. And then on the defensive side of the ball, all the talk this offseason was a lot about the transfers coming in on the offensive side. You guys did get a big defensive transfer in Shane Lee. A lot of talent left on the other side of the football, too. Notably Corey Foreman, a former 5-star, highly recruited player. How has the defense come along in the springtime since you've been at the helm?
I think our defense has done extremely well. I have a lot of confidence in Alex Grinch. I got to sit there firsthand and watch the changes that he made when he came to Oklahoma in 2019, and there were just immediate, drastic improvements. And so he obviously did that in this conference when he went to Washington State for his first defensive coordinator job. So I've got a lot of confidence in the players we have there, the coaches that we have here, the scheme. I think all the makings to have an outstanding defense, and frankly, that's our expectation. You think about the great history of this place, and of course the highlights of Reggie Bush are going to run forever, and all the great quarterbacks and all that. But you can't forget all the great defensive players that have run through here, and when this team has been a national championship caliber team, it's been riding a tremendous defense. And that's where we expect to be. We expect to have a national championship caliber defense here at USC, and I believe we have the people to do that.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Hey, Coach. Jamal Madney, Los Angeles Football Network. 2 questions. Obviously, it's been guns blazing right out of the gate in terms of talent acquisition with the likes of Caleb and Mario and Travis Dye, Austin Jones, and it seems like SC's getting their pick of the litter from a skill position perspective. How are you seeing talent acquisition in the trenches, specifically in the offensive and defensive lines, and how do you feel about those 2 units in particular going into this year?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great question. Another thing that's certainly going to be a focus of ours going forward. It doesn't matter what level of football you're talking about, what league. When you're great up front, you're going to have a chance. And I think the first key for us in the trenches was making sure that we hired the right guys to coach them. Getting Josh Henson on the offensive line from Texas A&M, bringing in Sean Nua from Michigan and Roy Manning from Oklahoma, that was important to us because, yes, recruiting them, the talent acquisition is obviously important, but you got to develop them. How many great players do you see across the country, a great talented kid that goes into programs, you never hear about them again, or they don't really make the improvements that everybody expects. And so we wanted to bring in guys that could really develop first. I like the offensive line talent that was left over, that we did a little bit less work there. We brought in 1 transfer, we brought in 2, but we brought in 1 grad transfer, Bobby Haskins from Virginia. But really like where we're headed there. And obviously, continue to build that line for the future will be a priority for us. The defensive line, we were a little bit more aggressive, added a couple of big inside guys. We brought in Romello Height on the edge, Solomon Byrd on the edge, and so we were a little bit more aggressive there immediately in the portal to try to beef that up, to try to add a little bit more quality depth. And so, no, I think we have the makings of very good offensive and defensive line this year. I do. It's important. It's obviously going to continue to be important for us. And another thing I would say, too, is there's been a little bit of a notion of, well, there's not a lot of, big offensive line or defensive line talent in the West. And I tell you, my 7 or 8 months here, I think that's completely false. I think a lot of tremendous talent. There's a lot of guys that we're recruiting on both sides of the ball in the West in the next several years that we would be recruiting no matter what university we were at in the country. So we've got to do a great job developing them, bringing the right ones in, and I think we do that, we'll be in good shape.
And, Coach, realignment aside, what's one thing that surprised you in these first 7 months about being the head football coach at USC?
Dang, that's actually I haven't been asked that one today. You did well. I would say how involved and how passionate our former players are. I mean, we had former greats and at every single spring practice. Guys want to be involved. They take so much pride in this program, and rightfully so. They were a part of some of the greatest runs that this game has ever seen at any university. And so to see how open they've been for us, how involved they want to be, has been a great thing. I guess when you haven't been somewhere, you hope it'll be like that. But it was just day after day after day after day, and we're talking some of the absolute giants in our game. So that's there's been a lot of great things here, but that one definitely stands out for me.
Well, thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach. Bill Plaschke, Los Angeles Times. The buzz this offseason has been overwhelming. The expectations were through the roof. It's almost CFP or bust for this team this year. Is that too much? Do you embrace those expectations? Are they fair?
Not my place to say whether they're fair or not. Like I said in my opening press conference, I mean, before even one of these players had come in, I mean, you don't come to USC and you don't come to Los Angeles to do things small. You got to set your sights big. And so I don't think it's too much. I don't. I believe in what we're doing. I believe in what we're teaching. I believe in the people that we have in there. And obviously it's going to continue to evolve through years. I didn't come here for one season. I didn't come here to do this in a short term. And so, in some respects, you keep the long game in mind, but the people we brought in here, the staff we brought in here, we didn't come here to play for second. You know, we are not wired that way. We came here competitively to win championships, to win them now and to win them for a long time. And that'll always be our expectation.
What is your expectation for this year?
To win a championship.
Do you feel the pressure, is there any undue pressure on all your young players because of this atmosphere, this over these high expectations? Are you concerned about the pressure on your team?
Because I think, I got asked that a lot, like when I became a head coach at a prominent university when I was 33 years old. And the reality is, if there's no pressure, then you probably don't have the same opportunities as others do. You've got to see the opportunity in it. The opportunity is, if you do it well, anything is possible. And this is one of those places. This is one of those programs. And frankly, this is one of those cities that if you do it well here, the sky's the absolute limit. I believe it's there for our football team. So we'll choose to focus on the opportunities and doing everything we can to take advantage of them.
Last question. It seems like you're not going to get a honeymoon. Do you feel like you've already had your honeymoon, that the pressure's on you right away to win right away? Nobody's going to cut you any slack?
As a head coach, I don't know what a honeymoon looks like. I didn't get one at the first place, and I don't expect to have one here. My expectations are extremely high, and I mean, again, this is a go for it kind of place, and that's, I would reiterate again, we didn't come here to play for second.
Thank you.
Ryan Carchi, LA Times. Lincoln, there were allegations levied back in May that USC had tampered with receiver Jordan Addison. We haven't talked to you since then. Just wondering, just your reaction to those allegations, and could you clarify just in general how you guys went about securing the commitment from Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked hard through our careers as coaches, my career as a coach, to do things with integrity. And I think we've largely done that throughout my career. And I think if you ask people, I think, that have been around us and been in the inner workings with us, they know how we go about our business. And so when someone challenges that with no facts and just only emotion, yeah, I mean, I think personally, you take it personally? Absolutely you do. I understand this is an emotional time. It's an emotional game with a lot of emotional people. We recruited Jordan just like we did every other transfer. Jordan got in the transfer portal. Jordan came on a visit to USC. Despite all the negative things that were put out magically by somebody, he's a kid that's all about ball. All he wanted to do on his entire official visit was talk ball. We literally missed like several of the meals and other things, entertainment that we had scheduled just so we could watch more film and talk more ball. That's all he's about. And I think he's been really, really misrepresented throughout this whole thing. And hopefully as this year goes on, people will get to see the quality of young man that he is. So he's done a great job for us so far. He's been a great member of this team and seems extremely happy to be in LA and playing for USC.
There was a report about a phone call or phone calls between you and Pat Narduzzi. Did you have contact with him just about those allegations?
Yeah, I would never talk about a call between me and another coach, never, whether it did or didn't happen. That's not ever something I would discuss.
And with Jordan, what does he bring to this offense maybe that you even didn't necessarily have before, or what does he add, I guess, specifically?
Well, he's a proven playmaker, and he's a guy that's proven that he wants to step out and continue to improve himself as a player, and that's what you're looking for is, explosiveness, a guy that he wants to win, he wants to be a part of this place, and that combination is a great combination. It obviously gives our quarterbacks another weapon. I think somebody that's going to be very, very difficult to cover one-on-one, and we've had a pretty good history within this scheme of taking talented receivers and developing them and using them in creative ways that have given some people problems, and so he's a tremendous addition to this team, to the program, and very, very thrilled to have him with us.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Hey, Lincoln, RJ Abadia, USCFootball.com. During the spring, you were pretty candid about the fact that you felt that NIL did not have a place in recruiting, in terms of recruiting high school players. Over the past few months, have you seen it directly impact recruitments that you've been involved in? Obviously, knowing you can't name names, but
Right.
wins or losses, has it been the factor that you maybe feared or thought it would be?
Absolutely, it has been. I mean, I think we all predicted it pretty quickly as soon as they instituted NIL with not much legislation around it. And I mean, there's a lot of factors right now. I mean, you know, number one, when I took this job, NIL obviously had already started, and everybody knew it was going to be a part of college football going forward, building rosters going forward. It's going to be a factor, and I certainly recognize the opportunities that existed in LA and specifically with USC, and felt like there was no school more positioned to capitalize off NIL than us. And I still, now that I'm boots on the ground, I believe that even more. It's probably even more substantial than what I thought it could be. As it's evolved, I think what we've seen is, as a lot of coaches have said, we have rules that are not being enforced. And one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to start enforcing the rules that are there, or we're going to create new rules. I don't know which one is going to happen. I can't predict that. One of the two will happen and needs to happen. And when it does, the thing I like about our position is, you know, if collectives and donor-based funding and all that becomes part of the future and the norm, I'm very confident in the people that we have, the resources that we have, that USC will be in prime position. And if it doesn't, and it becomes more traditional, you know, marketing and endorsement deals, you know, would you rather be anywhere than sitting right here in the middle of Southern California and Los Angeles? And so whichever way that it evolves, we're going to be ready. We feel like we're going to be positioned very well. And I hope that it does evolve soon, whichever direction it's going to go, so that we can kind of set our sights forward and everybody can move on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lincoln, Adam Grossbauer from the Orange County Register. You mentioned already the impact you felt from the Big Ten move on recruiting. What have conversations been like with recruits about that news?
Yeah, they're exciting because I think there's some obvious benefits, you know, right off the top. I mean, you know, playing in some of the biggest and most influential media markets, not only in the country, but some in the world. You're talking about one thing that I don't feel like has been discussed that much is, like, forever and ever, one of the most watched, impactful games in college football has been the Rose Bowl. And you think about some of the epic matchups that have happened in the Rose Bowl, and now you're going to have several of those happening each year, albeit in different venues. I think it's going to create some very, very cool and intriguing matchups that'll grab attention all over the country. The financial impact is significant. I mean, the ability to take that and put it back into facilities, to put it back into services for your players, to mental health, to development, to anything that's going to benefit the program is a big deal. There's no question. The TV slots are a big deal. It opens up. I mean, I think USC's always been a national brand, but opens up a recruiting base in a way that's you know, maybe different than ever before in the school's history. And so there's a lot exciting about it. And so the conversations have been fun. It's certainly been impactful, and I'm glad that, you know, our people have been on the forefront.
With college football, you're not only trying to build next year's roster, but the roster after and the one after that at the same time. Does this news change the type of players that you're looking for in terms of competing against, say, Big Ten offenses?
Sure, it absolutely does, especially as you start thinking towards the future. Because, I mean, you look at it from two perspectives. Number one is, you know, what do we believe the best version of USC football is, and what are our ideal players, and we think best fit our schemes and systems and all of that. And then also you look at it relative to the competition and the people that you're going to play year in and year out. So no, those are conversations that we've started having immediately, and I don't know that I want to lay out exactly our thoughts on it, but will it change? 100%.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coach, good to see you. Greg Moore, Arizona Republic, USA Today Network, based in Phoenix. Ask you about one of your former players. I'm curious what you can tell us about Kyler Murray's work ethic and whether that would ever be a concern.
Yeah, it was a concern. It was a big concern. I was really concerned when I had him at OU that he was going to burn himself out. I don't know if as a coach you worry too much about a guy working too hard, but he pushes the limits of it. I spent a lot of time with the guy. We're very close. We talk a lot. We talk all the time still to this day. Kyler Murray loves football. Kyler Murray loves to compete and he loves to win. And every professional athlete wants to win. Not many like him. And for him to do what he's done in his career, and to think he hasn't prepared, I thought he said it well when he talked to the press the other day, and that's not him. That's not normally his MO, to talk about himself or to do that, but I thought he hit the nail right on the head, and I'm glad he did it. I don't know why the clause was in there. I'm not in there in the inner workings, but having had 3 years with him, every single day for 3 years, I never worried about him and the amount of preparation he was putting into getting ready to play. In fact, I never worried about him when he was the backup quarterback. I never worried about him when he was playing another sport. The guy he's phenomenal. And so his work ethic, that's one thing I will never question.
The statement surprised me as a guy who's been around him a little bit. How did you respond to it? Like, did he talk to you before he did that? Were you surprised to see it? Was this something that you have seen him evolve into? What were your reactions?
Sorry, could you say it one more time?
Sure, no problem. The statement, right?
Yeah.
He's a taciturn dude, right? He doesn't talk a whole lot. He just says what he's got to say and he gets out of there. This was not that. Did it surprise you to see him go there?
It didn't. In some ways, yes, some ways, no. It didn't surprise me because I know how personal he takes winning. He's the guy as a leader. You got to almost pull him off of the other guys sometimes. He's a fierce leader and a fierce competitor, and he puts so much into the game. It did surprise me because, like you said, it's not his MO. He's not a me guy. He's not even like I called him the morning. I was driving, I FaceTimed him the day he signed his contract. And he doesn't even want to talk about, all he wants to talk about is the team next year and how they're going to win. And he's all ball, and that really, he has a singular focus. And so for him to go do that, it was something that really bothered him. But I'm glad he did it. And I thought it showed guts. I thought it showed maturity. And I'm glad he fired back. He had every right to do so.
Last one, Coach. Hollywood Brown's there now, too. First thing he talked about when he showed up was how he and Kyler played together on the scout team and how much pride they took in busting up the first teamers. Can you tell me some stories from those days, or what are your memories of those two together at that time in their careers?
That was a pretty good scout team. They may have ruined our defense's psyche. Those guys are pretty good. They both love ball, and they did, whether it's playing in the NFL on the same team or playing on a scout team, just getting somebody else ready to play when they both weren't eligible. So, they both love ball. I can't wait to see them play again together, because the one year they got on the field together, they were so in sync. And I know there's a ton of confidence that's already laid there.
Thank you.
Time for one more.
How's it going? Dylan Bryant, News for Us Online. I was just curious, is there anyone on the offensive side of the ball that gets you really excited in the morning? Someone that kind of opens up the playbook, if you know what I mean?
I hope a bunch of them get me excited in the morning, evening, afternoon, all. I think we have some really intriguing skill sets. I'm really excited about our backs. Both Travis Dye and Austin Jones are proven guys at this level that are both really, they're pros in the way they go about their business, and they both have great experience. So really excited about those two. The receiving core, obviously, we've made a lot of additions and a lot of changes too. But so many of those guys. Obviously Jordan and Mario have been talked about quite a bit, and deservedly so. But excited about Terrell Bynum, Brenham Rice, Taj Washington, Gary Bryant. I think that's a really intriguing group. So, yeah, we've got some really neat skill positions. We do. We've got some guys, I think, that can really stretch the field and can make a lot of plays and give us some versatility. So I think there'll be a lot of competitions, within our own locker room, and it will be really interesting to see how we evolve as an offense. But now proud of some of the additions we've made.
Thank you.
You got it.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, everybody.